What's up, all you doodles and doodlers out there, you schemers and dreamers, and welcome back to another episode of Doodle Talk. This is episode 49. We're getting up there. Come on in, have a seat, make yourself comfortable. Hope you guys are doing good. I'm doing pretty good myself. Just a couple things to shout out before we get going here. I think I said it last time, but the two most recent animations, the Halloween Witch animation, I know I said that, but also the Samurai Vampire kind of cool little animation that I did is up now too. All that stuff's on my Instagram, and if you want to check it out on Twitter, it's there too. But yeah, and then the main thing that I wanted to shout out, like art wise, is like probably later today, as I'm recording this, later today I'm gonna be uploading or like publishing the my newest like actual YouTube video, like video, and it's about the 5 habits that I noticed that mostly over this year. It's really kind of like over the past couple years, but the 5 habits, especially this year, that I've tried to stick to, kind of like lifestyle choices that have made me a better artist. And it's like about a 10-minute video. It's not anything too crazy long, but it's like I actually sat down, I properly scripted it out. I thought of what, like, everything, like how I was gonna put it together, the shots and what footage and what video I was gonna use, and it's definitely the best video I've ever made. So just in terms of like overall quality and like how I think I was able to put it together, so I'm really proud of it. And yeah, go check it out. It should be up on my YouTube channel by now. It'll have been out, hopefully. I'm posting it this weekend. I don't know which day, but it'll have been out for 3 or 4 days by the time this comes out. So if you haven't seen it already, please go check it out. You don't have to be like an artist to hopefully gain something from it. It's more just about like how to set goals for yourself, and then like tackle work on getting towards that goal, tackle the challenges that come towards you, how to like maintain balance in your life, and how to like not give up on the things that you want to do, like be realistic about them, and then kind of just like slowly work your way towards them. There's a few kind of like lifestyle, like perspective, kind of like mantra things that I talk about as well. Just things that I like keep close to my chest, that I like if I'm ever losing motivation or like feeling down about art and stuff, things that I can kind of tell myself. And like one of the things is don't wait, just start. And that came from like one of the little portions, one of the habits, is like telling myself that. And that came from like doing this podcast, which was pretty cool. So yeah, there's a few things like that where it's not just sit down and draw every day, right? Like that's too easy. That's like anyone can tell you that, right? I try to add a little bit more of my own personal perspective to it to give you a very like nuanced and like specific way of thinking about it. So go check that out, please. And yeah, thanks to anyone who's already watched it or given it a like or shared it or whatever. And that's it for the art stuff. I was wondering if I should talk about it on this episode, but I think I'm gonna just mention it. I think last week I mentioned like the like 1-year anniversary of Doodle Talk is coming up, and that's super hype, and I'm really excited. And I was saying like I wasn't sure what I'm gonna do, and I've been doing a lot of thinking, and like I'm working on another YouTube video right now going over essentially what I talked about last week with all the Wacom like pen displays and stuff. And just in these few weeks of me like really sitting down and kind of like having a lot of fun, just scripting out these videos, coming up with more like concise and like proper videos, right? Because when I talk about things on the podcast, you do get it's a cool perspective of like me being able to take my time, kind of just think about it, kind of ramble on about things. And personally, I do enjoy that for some things, like some aspects of like conversations that people have, or like when you're talking about something. you don't always want just like the bite size. Even like a 10-minute video sometimes feels like too short to really touch on all the subjects. But for most things, I think, between a 10-20 minute video, if it's really like well put together, can get most of what you would want to say in like a 30-40 minute podcast. You're just kind of like able to really condense it and get all like make it more efficient at like being able to tell the story or talk about the thing that you want to talk about. And I've kind of just been wondering, like, if I spent less time on these Doodle Talks, would I be able to, first of all, just increase the overall quality of those types of videos, because I'd have more time, and then I'd have a little bit more time to just like make the art, make the things, like do the thing and make the art that I want to make. So yeah, and this ties into the main topic of what I want to talk about today, but I just want to mention, probably after episode 52, which will be about 3 weeks from now, because it's 49, 50, 51, 52, 3-4 weeks, right? So for next year, I'm probably gonna stop Doodle Talk for at least a little while and like see how I feel. Because if I stop for a couple weeks or a month and I don't like it, like I really want to keep doing them, I'll just keep doing them. So I honestly don't know for sure. Like, this could change at any point along the way. I might just do like bi-weekly or once a month. But the thing is like, I've realized that there's a lot of topics, like even within the Doodle Talks that I talk about, where I'm just like this Wacom one, where it's like, after I do research and like think about the things that I'm gonna talk about, especially if it's something like that, where I was like looking at prices of the Wacom displays before talking about them and like seeing what people's reactions were and what they were saying about them. But I don't have I'm not sitting down with like a bunch of notes, and I don't always have the time to sit down and pull up stuff on the screen, because then it would kind of detract from like the actual podcast part of it, right? Or maybe it wouldn't, but that's just not really the style that I want to do this podcast in. And I was realizing like, oh man, well, it's not doing a disservice, but it's probably just better if I sat down and like wrote it all out and like had the pictures and like properly had everything to show for what I was talking about. And like like I said, it could just be more efficient for a lot of these things. Now, like some of the videos, yeah, it's just like talking about a certain thing that happened, or like what's my viewpoint on this thing, or what do I think about XYZ. And those are always great for podcasts, but I think I've just realized like over the year that I've been doing this is like a lot of the stuff I wanted to say just in general about like what I've learned so far from being an artist, I've said a lot of it, and without wanting to like just repeat myself or like have to start talking about things that are like what I don't really want to talk about on this podcast, I'm gonna pump the brakes a little bit. I know recently I've been talking about like when to let something die, so I definitely want to heed my own advice on that. And it's like, it's a podcast, so it's nothing crazy, right? It's not like I could keep doing it and it wouldn't hurt anyone. It's just there's doing the podcast takes hours out of my week. Hour or two setting up, recording, tearing down. However long the podcast is, it essentially takes at least 1.5 to sometimes even 3 times that length so to edit. And then you gotta upload it to YouTube, you gotta do thumbnails, you gotta make highlight clips. There's a lot of work. So if it's like, even if I and I've already like streamlined the entire thing to where I can kind of like just do it without even thinking, and I often do, because I'm normally up till like between like midnight to 2 a.m. is when I'm normally like editing or finishing or like uploading these kinds of things. And I just realized, I was like, man, even if it's only like 2 hours extra a week that I would be getting back towards working on other videos or like just sitting down and animating more, I think it might be worth it. So I don't know for sure, but that's where my head's at, and that's why I'm going to essentially just probably pause Doodle Talk. I'm definitely going to take at least 2 weeks, because then that'll give me the first measure of like okay, I didn't do it's not weekly anymore. How did that feel? I might even try to just do like a bi-weekly for 1 month, and then if that's like not working, then I'll just stop there. But essentially, I think on episode 52, I'm just gonna do like a fun little sit down, kind of like looking back on a lot of the things that I've talked about this year, or like just you know, have a really chill kind of like pseudo like anniversary, but also kind of like thanks for watching the Doodle Talk podcast, because I don't know if I'm gonna keep doing it. But the thing here too is like I'm possibly stopping Doodle Talk just so that I can go and like make more stuff, you know. So it's not like I'm not stopping my YouTube channel or like stop making art or anything. I'll never be able to stop making art in like some kind of capacity, so that's just not really on the table. But yeah, I'm hoping it'll, you know, pay off, or like it'll be better for me, because man, I love doing the podcast too though. And I do wish that I could like actually interview some other artists and stuff, but I'm just at this point where like working full time and doing all this stuff on the side is kind of hard. Adding another aspect of like scheduling, and then doing like video chats for interviews and recording, and files crash, you lose things, like that's a whole another level of stress that I'm just not ready to take on for something like this, especially since I just do everything by myself. But yeah, so I just wanted to give a little heads up so it's not like super random when like 3-4 weeks from now I'm like, hey, it's the last episode of Doodle Talk. I don't want it to come as like a shock or anything. And I want to stress that like this is literally something I'm thinking about pumping the brakes on, just so that I can make more YouTube videos and like create more of like the little animations that I want to make. So it's all with the interest of just making more stuff in place of this. And I don't know, I think that'll just be better, because I do love the podcast, and I'll still do videos like this. I'll probably like, because my first thing I was thinking of was like instead of just doing a long form like podcast, doing like a short little, changing Doodle Talk to like a series of videos that I'm doing, kind of essentially like not the 5 habits one, but the Wacom video. When that video comes out, that was like my actual like kind of like, oh, maybe I'll just change Doodle Talk to this, and I'll just have it a series. And essentially that's what it is gonna be, but I'm probably just not gonna call it Doodle Talk, because I don't think that's gonna be in the best interest for like, you know, SEO and like finding it on YouTube, and just kind of putting too much fluff into it. Like it's you know, that part could just get stripped away. But you can essentially think of like, whenever you see a video where I'm talking about something like that, or it's not like a strictly just art video, that's essentially like what these Doodle Talks are going to turn into. And I'll probably still do some of them where I'm like talking in front of the screen like this. And who knows? I don't know. I don't want to like sit here and just speculate, or I make like empty promises or whatever. But yeah, just something's gonna change. And I'm definitely taking at least a couple weeks off, I think, at the new year. And yeah, we'll see. If I change my mind, or like change something already before that happens, then I'll just let you guys know in one of these next year Doodle Talks. But I am still gonna do like the fun episode 52 1-year anniversary kind of sit back, probably grab a beer, just chill, like talk about stuff. So that'll be fun. But yeah, let's not talk about that anymore, and let's jump into the main topic. Okay, so today I wanted to talk about something I've kind of been noticing recently, and something I've noticed a lot this past week, really. And that is kind of like the shift in perspective from artists and creators online, kind of rejecting a lot of like the quote unquote like way to make it, or like rejecting as much of like the algorithm and like submitting to the ad revenue model, and really trying to bring back like the authenticity of things, and like push more like creator friendly models, like straight to the artist kind of thing, like Patreon, or like having a Discord and reaching out to your fans directly, that kind of stuff, right? It's hard to like succinctly put all that together, but in general, like this kind of cool new like artist revolution of like going against the modern model of like the Mr. Beastification of everything and all that stuff, because that's something people have been aware of for a while. But I watched this YouTube video by a guy named, I wrote it down, I don't know how to say his name though, Zachary Smeagol would be cool because that's like Gollum from Lord of the Rings, but I don't know. He has a YouTube video called "Why is YouTube Like This?" And I've actually seen a few videos similar to this of from some cool like video essay kind of YouTubers. Some of those are really cool. Another person is Dodford. He doesn't talk about this necessarily, but he's really cool. He mentioned him in this video too, but that he is someone I've actually have been watching a little bit recently, and yeah, he makes amazing like little video essays, mostly on like famous people or like things like actors or artists and stuff. Sorry, that's that's a tangent, but Zachary Smeagol in this "Why is YouTube Like This" video kind of does a really nice, quick, comprehensive look at like what Mr. Beast fucking did to YouTube and shit. And he talked about, there's different eras of the internet, there's different eras of YouTube, and right now is really essentially just that kind of like, I gathered 100 of my friends and we're gonna go jump into a pit of lava, and the last person to get out wins $100,000. Like that kind of like, if you've seen a Mr. Beast video, if you've seen any of these kind of like copycat people, you know what I'm talking about. And it's unfortunate because like Mr. Beast, he's a smart dude. He kind of was a trailblazer in that respect, and it's unfortunate that it's just like people copy what's working and what makes you famous and gets you tons of money. So there's just a bajillion copycats out there who are doing stuff like that. And in the sea of like all these like TikTokers who just want to get famous, or streamers who just want to get famous, and in this sea of like YouTubers who are just trying to use clickbait and sensationalize literally everything and anything that they can think of in order to get views and get more followers and essentially make money, right? That's like the end goal for a lot of these people, is like sensationalist YouTubers are basically, it's gonna come down to either they want to be really famous or they want to make a lot of money, or it's both, or some kind of thing in between those two veins of that, right? And I'm not here to just like shit on all those people, but it does like crowd up your social media with a lot of like bullshit. And YouTube especially now it's weird. Like YouTube is doing better in some ways and worse in some ways of like recommending and showing people, but it's really clear that like the advertisers run YouTube, and it's a double-edged sword, right? Because it's like, yes, if you are a nobody and you just make really cool stuff and really cool videos or art and you want to put it up on YouTube and you find a following, you can get money, you can get paid, from AdSense, ad revenues, and like something that was never possible in the past, right? And that's pretty amazing. And like you have to try and remember that, but then at the same time, like it's getting really bad to a point where like YouTube almost seems desperate. Like they're trying really hard to like stop ad blockers and like get people to buy YouTube Premium, but YouTube Premium is pretty expensive. So like if you don't have a lot of money, it's like I can't. It's like it's not worth it, But there's just all this stuff happening where like things are changing. And in this age of, or like in that video, they talked about like the trend of basically, if right now is like the over-sensationalized like hype Mr. Beastification era, then they're thinking that a lot of the next one might be like the age of authenticity. And I really like that. And just full disclosure, I'm a lot of these ideas are not my own. I'm just kind of like putting them together from a few different kind of people and videos and artists that I've seen over the past, like, I feel like people have been talking about this for about 6 months or so. I've seen videos pop up here and there, but you know, maybe the last year, but then a lot recently. I feel like it's just starting to get a little bit more, people are talking about it a little bit more, making more poignant points about it, and I think it's great. And I want to try and, you know, shout out any of those people as well, like the Zachary Smeagol guy and that video. It's cool. I don't remember some of the other ones because they were a little bit, you know, I don't know how long ago it was that I saw them. But yeah, full disclosure, this is not my like original idea. I just want to talk about it and give my point of view on what I think about the stuff too. And like a lot of these people talk about, this is why a lot of creators are struggling on YouTube right now. It's because they can't get the same reach and the same impressions, and, you know, they don't get the same like click-throughs, retention, and so they're not getting the same amount of money. They're not getting the same amount of ads, like ad revenue, and it's creating a big problem for like a lot of artists, even big artists. Like I have a few examples here that I wanted to talk about besides that YouTube video. Like Jazza, if you know, Jazza is like a OG YouTuber, OG artist person on YouTube, and I've always like kind of, you know, seen Jazza in the background from a long time ago, like 6-7 years ago at least, but I think he was on YouTube long before that. But I'm not like the biggest Jazza fan, but he seems like a cool guy, and he does some cool videos, especially now, like has ventured out and not just doing like pen to paper or like just typical art stuff, but like one, he did like a Bob Ross like 3D plane, like glass painting on a 3D plane kind of thing. Like he made his own, made his own like 3D like sword, like molded a 3D sword, like a sword, a sword, like a 3D sword, and like cool videos like that, right? Like kind of just like arts and crafts kind of things, right? But I saw he had a video a few weeks ago. About a few weeks ago, he was like, and it was weird because he was like really emotional, and he was talking about how he's starting a Patreon, and he's like asking directly for help from his fans for like to, you know, supplement more money for him and his team, because he's huge. He has a huge YouTube channel, and he has people working for him, you know, and he's got a family and stuff like that. And at first I didn't really understand why he was like so emotional, because it's like, dude, people love you. I'm sure you could have made a Patreon like 10 years ago. But he made a really good point of like, and I actually really respect him for this, because this is kind of how I feel about not creating a Patreon, is he was like, you know, I wanted to make the best stuff that I could and keep it free for as long as possible, and like try and make it the most accessible, the most easily accessible, you know, free, and like still highest quality content, like art, videos and stuff that I can make for you guys. And he's like, it's just like out of no fault of his own, and a lot of these artists, YouTube is kind of like fucking over even huge people. So like even creators and like artists with millions of followers, they're just like the traffic's not the same, so their ad revenue is not the same, and you know, I don't know how much they're making, I don't know all the specifics, but if someone with like millions of followers who gets like, I don't know, he's got to get millions or hundreds of thousands of views on every video essentially. If someone like that is struggling to like, you know, and I believe him, and he's not one of those guys where he's obviously not just like fucking fishing for money here. He seems very genuine, and he's always seemed very genuine. So that's why I thought he'd be a good example to talk about. If someone like that is asking for extra help so that they can, you know, pay their team, the people they work with, or like people work under them, and like provide for his family, he's like, holy shit, that should like be concerning for a lot of people. If you're someone like that, where essentially like YouTube is going to be your only source of income. And it's good for someone like me to see too, who would like to have some passive income coming in through YouTube. But I already know that it's like, you know, you gotta have multiple income streams, and you cannot put all of your eggs in one basket. But it's good to know that something like this happens. And I share a very similar thought of like, not the whole like I want to like, because I don't have a lot of people, you know, like waiting on my content to come out and stuff. But it's like, I've said this before in the past too, is like, for me to start a Patreon, I really have to feel like there's something that I have of value to give. And even if that is just like early access to some of the art or videos that I'm making, like, I have no problem with like where the line is drawn. I just have a problem of like, I want to be providing at least some kind of value for people in order to like ask them to support me on something like Patreon. And I've struggled with that a lot, and that's why I still haven't really made one, or like, you know, published it or like put it out there. So but it's something that I've always been looking at and like thinking, considering and doing and stuff, right? That's why I want to make more of these just like one-off like proper videos, is because like I want to start making things where it's like it's consistent enough where something like that, a little bit, just even a little bit, like not too long down the line, or like in the near future, like something I could do like that, right? So these are things that I have to think about as well. And if you're someone like me, smaller artist, independent artist, like, you gotta be aware of these things as well. That's why you should really I mean, you don't have to watch like a ton of stuff that you don't care about, obviously, but you should definitely keep your ear on the I don't know, keep your eyes open. There's a phrase I can't remember, but you know, like be aware of what's going on in the world, in the art sphere, even if it's kind of like a little bit outside of what you care about or like are normally concerned with. So Jazza was a good example there too. And then there's this other one, I think this is like last night I was watching, and this is another person where like I'm not a huge like super fan of their channel, but they got a really cool video, and his name's Aaron Rutten. He's like a OG like digital artist, and has a lot of like educational videos for like people doing digital art. He's always does like really good Wacom pen display reviews, which is funny that I was just talking about that. I'm making this video. But yeah, he's a cool artist. He's definitely more of like an old school kind of guy, where he's not like you know, he's a little bit older, and he's not like, you know, he's not sitting down making like a crazy TikTok with a, you know, I don't know, he's just not doing any of that kind of stuff, right? But he does make like really resourceful educational videos and stuff like that. And he made a video where he was talking about, he went to like the creator conference, which I think was like an event held by Patreon in California the other day, where a bunch of creators went. And he talked about like how he had been feeling lost for the past couple of years. And I'm gonna try and like either put it up on screen or leave links in the description for all these videos and things that I reference. So please go check them out, because I'm just like taking bits and pieces of it and like putting it together. So this amalgamation that I'm creating from my own point of view is not, you know, obviously the direct thoughts and opinions of everyone. I'm paraphrasing a lot of things too. Please go check the actual videos out if you want to get the full view of everything. But it's kind of simple enough where I feel like if you'll get the general idea, right? And he was so he was saying he's been feeling lost the past couple of years, of just like not knowing what to do with his channel, because, you know, he was experiencing that exact same thing where like and he's a even smaller example than like Jazza. So I think like 300,000 followers on YouTube or something, which is like no small number. Let's, you know, get that straight right there. It's like, that's a lot of people. And so even someone like that, where you'd think they have like a little bit smaller yet more dedicated fan base, maybe even people like that are struggling. And he was showing like the analytics on his YouTube just like dropping off over the past like 2 or 3 years. And once again, seemingly like to no one's fault, or like not being able to pinpoint what the cause is, even if you like change and try and adapt and like, you know, get with the times, or like change how you're doing things. That doesn't always work when like you're a slave to the algorithm of, as far as like the exposure that you can get on YouTube. Because no matter how much you change your own algorithm, you cannot change how the actual platform of like YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, how they're showing your stuff to other people, unfortunately. So there's not much you can do there, you know. and he was talking about, he went to this, like, the conference, the event, and the convention, I guess, and saw a lot of other artists, met a lot of like-minded people, and ultimately, you know, felt better because a lot of people were going through the same experience as him. And that was really cool to hear. And the thing he talked about too, which is what I also want to kind of talk about here towards the end here, is he was like, you know, no matter, he was trying to keep up with the algorithm and like keep up with like getting the same amount of ad money and stuff, and he was just like, fuck it, I'm gonna straight up like essentially move over to Patreon and like slowly move most of his, like, you know, what he would make money from over to Patreon, even going as far as like demonetizing a lot of his YouTube videos, which is crazy. I don't know if he should really even go that far, but it's like that's dedication, right? That's someone like really standing behind what they're saying, and he's like, I'm just gonna start making more of the things that I actually want to make. And I was like, shit, bro, I've been saying that lately too. Like, what? That's awesome. Like, you know, like I think two weeks ago, or like, you know, and a lot of the recent Doodle Talks, I've been talking about this shift where I have just been like, I've been trying to grow a lot as an artist and on social media and stuff this past year, to the point where I was just like getting burnt out making too many things that weren't fulfilling and like being the things that I really want to make. And I had to put my foot down and make a hard decision, which is even why like I'm taking a break on the Doodle Talks too at the end of the year, is like I'm gonna go 100%. I'm gonna work even harder, but I'm gonna do the things that I want to do. And I really respected him saying that too, even taking some of the steps that he did. And it seems like a lot of artists were doing that too. I think like Ross Draws, if you know him on YouTube, he's a huge creator too. I guess he gave a talk there and he was showing parts of it, and it was another case of that too, where like I think his talk, he was talking about like, you know, just doing fan art or just like, you know, making YouTube videos and stuff, like got him millions of followers and fans, and but then he like took a year off YouTube, like doesn't really make a lot of videos anymore right now, and instead just focused on like his own like OCs in the world that he's creating and stuff. And I can also relate to that too, and I respect that a lot. And I think he was talking about how it's so much more fulfilling when you do something like that, and when you create the thing like that that's truly yours, that people still like, you create the better fan. Like you create the person who's gonna want to support you more directly, who's gonna respect you more. And this is my whole thing right now with like short form content too, is like short form content to me just really seems like a supplement. It depends what you do, right? There's some people where like short form content just works really well with like whatever kind of videos you make, the art that you make, the content that you make. But for a lot of us, it's like I fell into the trap of thinking that like I gotta like really produce a lot more short form content, and that's how like I'll get people interested in me, and then that's how I'll get more fans. And like while it's true to an extent, it really, from what I've noticed, and the people that I follow, I don't care about any of their short form content. It's all like the meat, the juice of like what they're actually making, what projects they're working on, what, like, show me a fucking 5 to 10 minute long YouTube video about something, or a fucking hour and a half long, you know, like summoning salt video, like where he's talking about the history of speedrunning in Mario Kart 64 or something like that, right? I started noticing that all the stuff I like, all the people I like, all the artists I like are all doing things that they really want to do, and they're not getting bogged down by the worries of like, oh, I gotta just, you know, I have to make all these other types of videos, or all these little reels and shorts and TikToks, and like I gotta do this or that. It's like, no, they're all just like really doubling down on what they truly want to do. And when I realized that, I was like, if these are the people that I respect, or these are the people that I look up to, it's like why I should be doing that too. And then, you know, that's when I was like sitting down having kind of a heart to heart with myself and being like, yeah, that's what I'm gonna do then. And like, fuck it, who cares? Like, I'm just gonna go for it and like double down on what I really, really want to do. And like seeing some of these videos recently and just seeing this thought process kind of being like just explained and put out there, and people are realizing it, and there really are a lot of cool like artists and people who are doing this kind of like, it's really interesting. It's like the because I grew up in like, you know, the golden age of like indie music, right, when a lot of people were starting to break away from the record companies, and you know, you could kind of start doing things on your own, and that was really great. And then now that's like kind of transformed into this crazy beast of its own. But I feel like there's, to go along with what some of these people are saying about like the kind of the rebellion and the revolution into the age of authenticity for a lot of these creators, is like, yeah, there are a lot of kind of these like, not underground, like I'm not gonna say that, but you know, smaller people and who are blowing up and getting big as well. But a lot of these independent artists, independent creators, independent video creators and stuff, where it's just like they're just doing something that's undeniably good and fun to watch, or fun to consume, fun to enjoy, you know, however, you know, you consume it. Like they're doing a great job, and they're, you know, they're rising above all the fucking bullshit, all the 50,000 people who are just copying Mr. Beast, or who think that they got a fucking, like some of these idiot streamers and YouTubers in Japan recently who think they have to like do outrageous shit or like fuck with people in order to like get, you know, reactionary responses and more fans and stuff like that. Like there's so much bullshit out there, and I agree where like, yes, that's not going away anytime soon. It's gonna just keep getting bigger, and like you're gonna get bogged down, saturated with more of that shit. That's where I really hope YouTube can like do a better job about like kind of filtering that for people who don't actually want to see it, because it's like dude, we don't all want to see that shit. I know your algorithm tells you that we do, but we fucking don't. Like I don't, I'll tell you that right now. I just want to see, you know, sure, give me a recommendation for certain things, you know, like that's gonna happen no matter what, but I don't want the bullshit, dude. I don't want the shit that you just think is trendy and is gonna be good for me. So don't give me that shit, right? I don't give a fuck if that's what the advertisers want, right? And it's like, not everyone can have it that way. I can't have it that way all the time. I know that there's forces in motion, that there's things in motion that cannot be undone. But yeah, right, like that's how I feel about it, right? So what am I gonna do? I'm gonna support the people that I actually see doing cool original stuff, or like it doesn't even have to be 100% original of just like an idea of a video or something that they make, but people who are just like, you know, you can tell the real ones. You can tell who are the real ones. You just can. People who are fucking bullshit liars or just like sensationalizing things, you can tell right away. So it's not hard. So that's not a problem, right? And just to kind of like start wrapping things up and bring it all full circle, I really wanted to talk about this today because about a month ago I had written down a prompt of something that I wanted to talk about on a Doodle Talk, and but it wasn't fully fleshed out, so I didn't know like how to approach it, or I didn't talk about it yet. But the main idea was like, don't do it for the views. And this was around the time when I started having that, you know, paradigm shift of my own. And like I think it just fits in perfectly. It's like, you really shouldn't do it for the views. Like I know you have to, and I know you think you have to, and I know you want to, but you don't have to do it for the views. Like, build it and it will come is like, you know, such an incomplete phrase. Like it doesn't really work that way. You obviously there's so many variables that go into something like that, but it's like, if you really are passionate about what you're doing and you are making good stuff and you're doing what you truly want to do, and then, you know, you're making some effort to like obviously put yourself out there, show it to people, or like being a little bit savvy about how you're presenting it, or like putting it out into the world, or, you know, consistently being present online, or just, you know, with your art and stuff, and like connecting with people who might be supporters or fans, then yeah, that's always gonna get better results than the person who's just like following trend after trend, and or just like, you know, like I was saying, like some of the bullshit stuff, like the over-sensationalized stuff, right? So it just links perfectly together, because what I had written down essentially is like you have to do something like with the it's I know it's cheesy, but it's like you have to do something with the intention that you wouldn't expect people to be watching anyways, for it to work when you would expect people to watch, right? I hope that made sense. But it's like the like dance like no one's watching. I thought of that too for this, which is really funny. That's super cheesy and kind of dumb, but I actually like it. I like it a lot. As I get older, dance like no one's watching like makes so much more sense to me, and I really think is like an empowering statement for an artist, because it's like what I was just saying before is like, if you make something for the purpose of like it being seen and like being like, oh, I know everyone will like this, right? Then you've already fucked up. You've already fucked up, because the real great stuff is the stuff that you're like, I think this is cool, and even if no one sees this, it's okay. It's still what I wanted to make. We're probably getting better along the way while making it, and you're doing the thing that you want to do. You're making the thing that you want to make. That is so important. And the views, the fans, the subscribers, the followers cannot come first. And I think people are starting to realize that. And while yes, it has to be thought about, right? This has to be in your mind. It has to be something you're thinking about, right? It is not the be all end all. It is not the only thing, and it is not the first thing you should be thinking about. And this is strictly for artists, or like, you know, creative people online. Like if you're trying to, you know, make a living or make some money with this kind of stuff, right? Even if it's just like a hobby and you're making stuff online, a lot of the times those people who are like have a full-time job, they're like, oh, I'm a programmer during the day, but then I make these fun little animations or these fun little videos. A lot of the times those people like fucking blow up or have a really dedicated following. And I've always thought this was interesting, because I've noticed this for a few artists, even some that I follow as well. And it's like, they're so genuine, and they're truly just like putting out like passion projects and things that like they dedicate what little free time they have, they're dedicating the you know, the energy that they have in those hours towards this thing, and they're putting it out, and it really shows. And then what do you get? You get like a really awesome, cool, like dedicated fan base, or like, you know, like-minded artists and people that you like connect yourself with. And like half of them, I feel like, dude, you could probably just like stop whatever your other job is and like just go full time or whatever like that. And some of them don't need to, some of them don't want to, and that's beautiful. Like that's even better, you know. Like you don't have to, you know, sometimes doing what you love for your job can really just like suck the life out of it. And like I always say, like you'll never work a day in your life if you're doing what you love is like total bullshit, because there's always going to be things about it that you don't like, and there's going to be things that you realize, you know, 3 years down the line of doing something like that, where you're like, oh, this isn't what I thought it was going to be, or, you know, there's all these little things, and it's never as black and white as that. So I think that's kind of the gist of what I wanted to talk about. And yeah, man, just bring back the authenticity. Like, you know, support the people who you see who are doing cool stuff like that, right? Give them a like on their YouTube channel, or like subscribe to them, or whatever. I don't know, just support them. And then, you know, don't worry about the bullshit, and like just know that there's a lot of cool people like who are independent, who are just kind of doing their own thing. And I think there are going to be more people like that. And yeah, dance like no one's watching. Do what you want to do, man. Do what you want to do. It's so important. I really believe that. But yeah, that's it for this episode. Thanks for watching, and thanks for listening, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.